In the last few weeks, many of you have commented that you wanted a full breakdown of the AIP, the Canada Atlantic Immigration Program to Permanent Residency. So, due to popular demand, I am now making this video. In this video, we'll explore the Atlantic Immigration Program, the AIP, which is a unique pathway that has helped thousands of newcomers build new lives in the Atlantic provinces of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. We will uncover what the AIP is, how it works, its benefits, who it's for, the occupations in demand, and the latest updates that you need to know for 2025 and beyond. By the end, you will see how this program can turn your dream of living in Canada into a reality. Please note that the information in this video was compiled from the official Canadian immigration resources, including Canada.ca, CIC News, and provincial program updates. Note that this is not immigration advice, it is just for education and information purposes. So let's start with what is the Atlantic Immigration Program, or the AIP? The AIP is an employer-driven immigration pathway that helps skilled foreign workers and international graduates become permanent residents of Canada's 4 Atlantic provinces. It began as a pilot in 2017 to boost immigration to Atlantic Canada and was so successful that it became a permanent program on January 1st, 2022. The program has been very successful so far. In fact, by May 2021, during the pilot phase, Atlantic employers made over 9,200 job offers in various sectors from manufacturing to healthcare, bringing in more than 8,000 newcomers and their families to the regions. The AIP is a partnership between the federal government and Atlantic provinces to address labor shortages by matching foreign talent with local jobs that employers couldn't fill locally. Under AIP, designated employers in Atlantic Canada can hire international candidates for jobs across a range of industries. Those candidates, in turn, get a fast track to permanent residency as long as they have a valid job offer and they meet the program requirements. Now, unlike some immigration programs, AIP does not use a point-based ranking system, and it is not connected to the Express Entry in any way. So if you have a qualifying job offer and you fulfill the criteria, you can apply directly for permanent residency. All of this makes AIP a straightforward option for people who might not have high CRS points but have skills that are needed in the Atlantic region. I know that you may be wondering why you should bother yourself with the AIP. So I'm going to give you the benefits of the AIP program. The first benefit is faster processing. Applications for permanent residence through AIP are processed in about 8 months on the average, which is faster than many other permanent residence programs. If you're already in Canada, you can start working in Canada while waiting for your PR to be finalized. Once you have your job offer and a provincial endorsement, you can get a special exempt temporary work permit that lets you begin your job right away. Thirdly, AIP's process is efficient. Employers don't need to obtain an LMIA to hire through this program. And unlike Express Entry, which focuses mainly on highly skilled jobs, AIP is open to a wider range of skilled levels from NOC Tier 0, 1, 2, 3, and even 4. This means that many occupations, including intermediate level jobs, can qualify. In fact, nurses' aides, truck drivers, retail supervisors, cooks, and even farm workers can qualify. This is such a welcome opportunity for workers in trades and other services to immigrate without needing the highest education or language scores, as long as they meet the program's baseline requirements. Now, talking about language scores. The language proficiency can be as low as CLB 4 or 5, depending on the job, which is a lower threshold than many federal immigration programs. The educational requirements can be as basic as a high school diploma. Additionally, there are no hefty provincial fees. Provinces do not charge anything to designated employers to endorse AIP candidates, unlike some provincial nominee programs that have application fees. Also, when you become a permanent resident through AIP, your immediate family can also get PR. That is your spouse and your children, and all of you will be on the pathway to Canadian citizenship. Up next, let's talk about how the AIP works and how you can apply. The Atlantic Immigration Program is employer-driven, which means that the process starts with a job offer. Now, let me give you a step-by-step breakdown of how it works. The very first step is to get a valid job offer in one of the Atlantic provinces from an employer designated under the AIP program. So very importantly, if you are searching for jobs, please focus on these designated employers. Each Atlantic province has a list of designated employers. I will leave the website link below. So if you find a job that you want to apply to from a designated employer, make sure that you tailor your resume to Atlantic Canada's job market and you include a cover letter as well. If you are wondering how to find the jobs, you can check the websites of the employers. Check in the description below. But networking can go a long way as well. Now, before you accept any job offer through the AIP and before you use it to apply for PR, you must ensure that you qualify under the program criteria. There are two broad categories of applicants, both for those in Canada and those outside of Canada. The first one is the skilled workers category, and for this one, you need at least 1 year of paid work experience in the last 5 years in any occupation classified under NOC Tier 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. These NOCs are usually for jobs that require some training or education, usually from management and professionals to trades and technicians, and it also includes many service jobs as well. And your work experience can be from outside Canada or within Canada. Both of these work just fine. The second category is the international graduates from Atlantic Canada, which is for recent graduates of recognized public institutions in Atlantic Canada. So if you studied in one of the Atlantic provinces, you don't need past work experience at all for AIP. But you must have completed at least a 2-year diploma or degree, studied full-time, and spent at least 16 months of the last 2 years in an Atlantic province during your studies. So if you just took a short course remotely, you won't qualify. You also need to have graduated within the last 24 months when you apply. This is a fantastic route for international students in Atlantic Canada. If you are thinking of studying in Canada, the Atlantic province is a great region to consider. For the AIP, you also need to meet basic education, language, and funds criteria. If your job offer is in Tier 0 or 1, which is generally managerial or professional roles, you need at least a 1-year post-secondary credential or higher. If the job is Tier 2, 3, or 4, so something like technical, skilled trades, or intermediate roles, a high school diploma is usually sufficient. And if your education is obtained outside Canada, you will need an educational credential assessment or an ECA report to prove that your education is equal to Canadian standards. And like I said before, you must pass an approved language test in English or French. You must score at least a CLB 5 for jobs in Tier 0s, 1, 2, 3, and CLB 4 for jobs in Tier 4. The test results must be less than 2 years old when you apply. In addition, you need to show that you have enough money to support yourself and your family after you move, unless you are already working in Canada on a valid work permit. The amount isn't very high. For example, a single applicant needs about $3,700 Canadian dollars, a couple needs about $4,600, and it scales up as your family size increases. But note that these figures update slightly over time for inflation. Again, if you're already in Canada working, the proof of funds requirement is waived for you. So essentially, they want to be sure that newcomers can pay their living expenses in the first few months of landing. You must also obtain a provincial endorsement before you can apply for PR. Now let me explain this a bit. Once you have the job offer, your employer and you will work together on an endorsement application to the Provincial Immigration Office. The employer must show that they couldn't fill the job locally and commit to supporting your settlement plan. The province will then review this package, and if everything looks fine, they issue an endorsement certificate for your job. Think of the endorsement as the province's stamp of approval that yes, we want this person to come to our province. Without this, you cannot proceed to the permanent residence application. Now, after you get the job offer and the provincial endorsement, you apply for permanent residency to IRCC, and this is done online. You will include documents like your endorsement certificate, your language results, your ECA, your proof of funds, your medical exams, police certificates, in short, similar documents to other permanent residence applications. The next step is optional, and that is to obtain a work permit. You don't have to wait for PR to actually move and start working. You can apply for a special AIP work permit that is valid for up to 2 years. This is an employer-specific work permit. It's tied to the AIP employer who hired you, and it does not require an LMIA. And if all goes well, RCC will approve your PR application. You will get the confirmation of permanent residency or the COPR, and you can officially become a Canadian permanent resident with all the rights that come with it. Now from here, the journey continues as you settle permanently, and after a few years, you could even become eligible for citizenship. Importantly, note that the AIP does expect you to reside in the Atlantic region, as that was the basis of your application and a moral commitment to the province that endorsed you. While PR gives you mobility rights, the spirit of the program is to stay and contribute to the Atlantic community that welcomed you. And given the warm hospitality and the beauty of the region, many people do choose to make it their long-term home. Now let's talk about who the AIP is for. The Atlantic Immigration Program is designed to benefit multiple groups of people, essentially anyone who wants to live and work in Atlantic Canada and has skills needed by the region. So this includes skilled workers outside Canada, temporary workers in Canada already in Atlantic regions or that are willing to move from another province to the Atlantic, and the international students in the Atlantic Canada. So in summary, AIP is for everyone, both inside and outside Canada, who is willing to build a life in Atlantic Canada. One question that you may be asking is, are there in-demand occupations and sectors in Atlantic Canada that the AIP focuses on? Well, one great aspect of the Atlantic Immigration Program is that it's not limited to a narrow list of occupations. It actually covers a wide range of jobs. However, knowing the in-demand occupations in the Atlantic region can help you target the sectors where employers are actively hiring through AIP. Now, based off of that, Atlantic Canada's economy has some key industries and labor shortages that drive AIP job opportunities. They include healthcare, which are occupations like registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, nurse aides, physicians, personal care attendants, and clinical psychologists. They also have construction and trades in demand. There is a construction boom in many Atlantic regions as they are building new housing units, and they have many infrastructure projects. In this occupation, they need construction workers, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, heavy equipment operators, welders, and other skilled tradespeople are in high demand. Nova Scotia and PEI both identified construction as a priority sector for 2025 AIP applications. So, if you're a tradesperson, chances are good that you will find opportunities via the AIP. These jobs might not qualify easily under Express Entry if they are classified at lower skill levels, but AIP keeps the door open for you. They also prioritize manufacturing and processing occupations. Atlantic Canada has manufacturing plants, food processing facilities, and seafood processing operations, which are vital to its economy. In this category, they need fish and seafood plant workers, they need industrial butchers, food processing laborers, and many manufacturing technicians. These industries often struggle to find enough local labor due to seasonality or rural location. So this makes AIP a win-win for employers and newcomers that are willing to take on these roles. Information technology, that's IT, and STEM are also in demand. There's a growing tech sector in Atlantic Canada, particularly in cities like Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Fredericton in New Brunswick. So occupations like software developers, IT engineers, data analyticians, and other tech specialists have opportunities in this region. Hospitality and food services jobs are in demand as well. So jobs like cooks, chefs, food service supervisors, hotel managers, and servers have been commonly hired via AIP to support restaurants and hotels in the region. However, note that due to an overwhelming number of applications in these roles, some provinces have recently paused unlimited AIP applications for certain hospitality occupations. For instance, Nova Scotia announced a temporary pause on food service supervisor positions under AIP because so many people were applying. But this doesn't mean that these jobs are never accepted. But in 2025, the focus has shifted more to essential sectors like healthcare and construction. So if you're in hospitality, be aware of the latest provincial rules, which we'll cover in a moment. Education and social services are in demand as well. So roles like teachers, early childhood educators, social workers, and community service workers are also needed in various communities in the Atlantic region. So, if you have qualifications in these fields, you might explore opportunities in smaller Atlantic towns where recruiting teachers or social service professionals can be challenged. And transportation and logistics roles like truck drivers and transportation workers are crucial in Atlantic Canada. Also, ship crew and fishing boat roles are also in demand. The advantage of AIP is its breadth. Virtually any skilled occupation, including what Canada classifies as intermediate skills, can qualify, as long as the employer is ready to hire you. That said, focusing on sectors that I've talked about, like trades, healthcare, tech, and some of the other ones that we talked about, will improve your chances, since provinces are actively prioritizing these roles. For example, in 2025, PEI is only accepting AIP endorsements for healthcare, construction, and manufacturing jobs. Nova Scotia is focusing on healthcare, social assistance, and construction, but they are also making exceptions for certain critical industries like trucking or clean technology. So, having said all this, how can you make the most of the Atlantic Immigration Program? Now, let me share some strategic tips to help you succeed in using AIP. This first one is really crucial. Research and target designated employers, because everything hinges on that job offer. So do your homework on employers in Atlantic Canada. Check each province's official immigration website for a list of designated employers. Check the link in the description below. Now, tailor your job applications to the region. Emphasize in your cover letter not just your skills, but also why you want to live in that Atlantic province. Employers love to see that you are genuinely interested in their community, not just using them as a ticket to Canada. And if you need help in preparing Canada formatted CVs and cover letters, please email canadajobcv@yahoo.com for professional CVs and cover letters. This will help you a lot. Improve your language skills. Even though the language requirement is moderate, if you have time, invest in improving your English language or your French and aim to exceed the minimum. Not only will this make it easier to find an employer, since they will see that you can communicate very well, but it will help you once you're working and living in the community. Then consider studying in Atlantic Canada. I know you may not be thinking of studying in Canada right now, but if you're an aspiring immigrant who hasn't decided on a path yet, one of the best long-term strategies is to study at an Atlantic college or university. The region has excellent institutions like Dalhousie University, Memorial University, University of New Brunswick, New Brunswick Community College, and many others. And very often they have lower tuition and the cost of living is lower than some of those other big Canadian cities and provinces. And after graduating, you have local connections and you can qualify under the AIP graduate stream with no work experience needed. It's a bit of a longer road, but it virtually secures a PR pathway if you plan it very well. You could also work part-time and build networks that lead to postgraduate job offer. Please be flexible and open-minded. Flexibility can be your biggest asset. Maybe your ultimate goal is to live in a particular city, but if a job offer comes from a smaller town, consider it. It might be your stepping stone to Canada permanent residency. Also, act fast with applications. Given the recent surge in demand, some provinces operate on a first-come, first-served basis for endorsement until they hit the annual quota. So if you secure a job offer, don't delay submitting your endorsement application. And whether you are inside Canada or outside Canada, stay updated on provincial rules. Each Atlantic province can tweak how it manages AIP at any time. They announce any policies or changes, so make it a habit to check official sources or reliable news for announcements. You can also stay subscribed to this channel because I also bring you updates as they come. Many people like you have used the AIP to get Canada permanent residency, and so can you too. The good news overall is that the Atlantic immigration numbers are going to grow, and the region wants newcomers like you, whether you are inside or outside Canada. So many people have testimonials. Your story could be next. Go and write your own story. If you found this deep dive helpful, please like the video and subscribe for more in-depth immigration content. Share it with a friend as well. Feel free to ask questions or share what topics you would like me to cover next. Thank you so much for watching, and perhaps one day soon we'll be welcoming you to Atlantic Canada. Watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.